My situation is a bit unusual. About 4.5 months ago, I found out my wife was having an affair. It wasn't hard to uncover seeing as she was terrible at hiding it. When I confronted her, we talked for 4 hours and made her tell me every detail. It took some coaxing, but after about 20 minutes she started talking. She said some crazy stuff to me that night, and the worst part about it was the way she said them, all nonchalant like she was chatting with a girlfriend at a coffee shop. One example is when it got to the sex, I asked her was it the same as what we do or was it different. In my mind I was thinking positions. What she said was like a dagger in my chest. She said it was different because it was passionate. I told her, "You're saying in the 10 years we've been together, we haven't had passionate sex?" And her response was, maybe on our honeymoon." The worst part was how she said it, casual as can be. So, I thought this girl is a narcissist, but I'm in doubt because narcissists have smarts and cunning. How I found out was the first night she had a condom sticking out of her wallet in the living room. The next night I checked her laptop, and she didn't realize it was connected to her phone. Maybe you guys can explain this one to me, because to this day, I still don't get what she did. I went on her photos, and she screenshotted her entire conversation with this guy, and deleted it one by one. It was all her deleted file, and maybe you can tell me what a screen recording is. It's only for iPhones. Some of the screenshots she took had timestamps at the bottom. I made her text him that night and tell him to not contact her again. The next morning she tells me he texted her, which I appreciated. If he was smart, he would have left it alone, but his response was, "Are you okay?" Right then from that response, I knew that weasel would keep trying. I told her as much. I forgot to mention that when I confronted her, I told her that we were done, because that's the one thing I couldn't forgive, and I told her for our daughter's sake, she can stay here until she finds a place. A sleepless week goes by, and the only thing I noticed is that she disconnected her phone from her laptop. No biggie. She goes out for a birthday party that weekend, and she did go where she said she did, because I checked the bank account. However, she come home drunk. She maybe has a drink twice a year, goes into the bathroom for half an hour, then to bed without even saying a word. First red flag of the night. Half hour later, I go in the garage and her car is not there. I think sure, she's had too much to drink, but at that point my gut was screaming at me, so I found her Snapchat password and logged in on my phone. And sure enough, the first person on top of her resents is the guy she had an affair with. By the way, she told me he had no social media. All I see is the last thing he said was, "Show me." So while I was in her account, I changed it from delete instantly to save for 24 hours. That's gonna be important later. At this point, it's 4 in the morning, so I wait until I can't take it anymore and wake her up at 7, asking where her car was. I told her to call one of her girlfriends to pick her up and get her car and walk downstairs. I was still logged into her account on my phone, and in the 5 seconds it took me to walk downstairs and open my phone, she snapped him good morning with a nude picture. The worst part about that was the picture was from our wedding night. Anyways, she leaves to get her car, and I'm sitting there, thinking how could she tear my heart out twice in 1 week. She come back, and I tell her we need to talk. Her response is, "Ugh, this again." I asked her if she texted him last night, and she denied it on a technicality, so I asked, did she snap him? She denied. So in my anger, I rolled my shirt up and did the pose she did and said, "Does good morning ring a bell?" Her eyes lit up in immediate anger, and she started yelling and hitting me. "Relax guys, my 2-year-old hits harder." I told her I'm leaving for a few days, and for her to pack her stuff up. As I'm walking out the door she asks when I'll be back, and I was confused because I could have been any clearer. She asked if I was coming back that day, and I kid you not, because I'm supposed to go to a party later today. I looked at her in the eye and said, "There is truly something wrong with your head," and left. I'm getting to it guys, I promise. A few days goes by, and my daughter kept calling out for mommy, and it broke my heart, so I caved and let her back in. She deleted her entire Snapchat when she came back, and promised to wait until we're divorced. A few more days goes by on that following weekend, and she's supposed to go to some food festival with her girlfriend that Sunday. Saturday night, my gut starts screaming again, so while she's giving our daughter a bath, the only time her phone is not in her hand, I go to open it and she changed the passcode. The first thing that pops up in my head is our daughter's birthday. It opens on the first try, and sure enough she once again talking to that guy on Snapchat, talking about meeting up at that fest. I started getting a guy feeling when I got a notification earlier that day that she was back on Snap. I go on a walk until our daughter goes to sleep. I come back home, with her completely unaware that I saw her phone. I came up with a plan to mess with her on my walk, knowing exactly how it was going to play out. When I got back, I asked her politely to see her phone because I had a feeling she willingly showed me her phone 2 days before that. She says fine, goes downstairs, and all I hear is a loud no, and she locks herself in the bathroom. I calmly walk down there and knock, asking if everything is okay. She responds with, "I can't believe you don't trust me, yada yada." She opens the door after a few minutes and gives me her phone. Long story short, I gave her 10 minutes to get out. Here's the kicker: 2 months later I get a call from my dad that she's in the hospital with a giant brain tumor. I go there because as much as I hate her, she is my child's mother, and it's the right thing to do. The whole drive there I'm thinking, well, that explains her insane behavior for the last couple of months. I tell her that and she's in complete denial. They take it out the next day. 2 weeks later, test results come back really bad. She's got maybe 18 months. To this day she is in complete denial about it. I was going to be supportive, but when I put her phone away at the hospital, I found an empty bottle of sex lube in her purse. That's important, because one of the last things I said to her when I finally kicked her out was, if you ever loved me at all in the 10 years we've been together, just start telling me the truth and wait until we're divorced. So after that I cut all contact with her. How can I talk to someone who is so detached from reality? Everyone has been telling me to forgive her because it was the tumor, but that's bull. She knew what she was doing.
Well, remain no contact with her. Nothing good will come out of you still keeping in touch, OP. And sometime she will realize that for her affair partner, she's just a piece of meat. But right now, she needs you. This is just fake remorse. She will try to love bomb you, guilt trip you, show you how truly remorseful she is, and will do anything to change your decision. Blah blah blah, we all know this. This is a classic cheater move. But in reality, she doesn't love you. Come on, she doesn't give a flying fuck about you and your marriage, OP. She was nonchalant on Discovery Day because she has no feelings for you and has no issues in losing you and the life that you built together. She wants you for your money, and she wants her affair partner for pleasure. That's the reality of it. So don't fall for any of her bullshit. I'm pretty sure that her next step will be using friends and family to try and guilt trip you into taking care of her. And I genuinely hope that she has even an ounce of respect for you and won't use your children against you. But I'm pretty sure she will because, you know, cheaters are assholes and they will use everything, including your kids, to try and force you to give them what they want. Just go strictly no contact, OP. And if her family tries to manipulate you, then go no contact with them too. The only communication you should have with this woman is about your children. Oh, and the next time she asks you for something, you know, like the insurance thing, tell her to contact her affair partner. Ask him for help because, you know, they have a connection. They're so passionate after all. Good luck, OP. And now for today's second story. I finally got my girlfriend to admit that she cheated on me. She packed her shit and moved 3 weeks ago. Posted by Reddit user Downright Dirty.
There were many red flags that lead up to this point, and I could likely write a novel on my situation, but I will spare the details. Here's how I found out. Her and I got into an argument one night about something trivial. I went to bed around 11 p.m., and I received a message at 1 a.m. While I was dead asleep from my ex. She said she was going for a walk. I woke up at about 4 in the morning, when she finally made it back into our bedroom. I was too tired to care, and I went back to sleep until I woke later in the morning. She had slept in until about 1 in the afternoon. She also intentionally avoided leaving or returning through our front door, where I have a doorbell camera installed, likely to avoid giving me a timestamp on her whereabouts. When she finally woke up, I asked about her walk as it was totally out of character. No good things happen at 1 a.m. She wouldn't tell me who she was with, and I could clearly see she was making up a story on the spot. She later told me that she opened to somebody, coworker, about how she was unhappy in our relationship and disclosed a little too much information that should have been obligated to discuss with me. This dude apparently walked her home and offered to kiss her. She said she declined the offer. She maintains this part of the story as truth. But my trust was already broken at this point. As weeks passed, I would bring up the story and the details would change, and she told me she was going to move back home. I didn't understand the idea of her leaving, unless she was guilty about something, so I continued to push the issue further. One day she told me she put in her 2 weeks notice at work, so I knew she was leaving. She had messed up, she knew too. But she hadn't admitted yet, but that night she finally admitted to me, after I took her phone and went through it in front of her. I told her to leave, and when she had nowhere else to go, she decided to retract her statement about cheating, and then said it didn't happen. That is something you don't admit to, unless you actually do it. As it turns out, it was not a one-time offense, and it was an affair. I may not even know the full truth, or for exactly how long this was going on for. I guess I have to accept the story she has given me as truth, and move on. I do have a morbid curiosity, though, about the real truth, but I know it's only going to hurt me more. To give some backstory, our relationship was nothing short of unconventional. We were together for 7 years, and 4 of those were apart, long distance. We tried to see each other as much as we could when we were apart, but there were some gaps in between. When we finally decided on a compromise and living together, this happens no more than a year later. If she was so quick to do this, while living under the same roof as me, it's undeniable it happened when we were apart. I've invested so much into a person apart and in person, and I never thought she would just throw it all away like that. The one person I trusted more than anyone betrayed me. If she was so unhappy, she should have left. I know what you guys are going through, hope we can all find some healing.
OP, make sure to let her family know about this as well, so maybe that way they can warn her future partners that she has a past and to keep an eye out. It's always the same sad, predictably pathetic stories with these cheaters. They were unhappy, so instead of talking to their partners about it and working on the relationship like a reasonable person, they choose to pursue someone else while lying to their faithful partner's face, letting the affair partner know just how unhappy they are, telling the affair partner things that crosses boundaries. Because Chad gets me. Chad sees how much of a good person I truly am. Chad sees I'm suffering because of you. Chad will never do that to me. He loves me. And blah 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 with their delusions. It's vain, pathetic, childish, selfish, and just downright gross. But they do it anyway and then blame their partner when their life goes down the shitter. Truly disgusting low character behavior. Be careful out there, guys. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my YouTube channel for you to watch absolutely free. So consider clicking that super thanks just below the video title, or you can use my PayPal in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, make sure to subscribe.